The Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal, pronounced Taj Mahal or Taj Mahal, is an ivory-white marble mausoleum situated on the right bank of the river Yamuna in Agra, Uttar Pradesh, India. The name translates to Crown of the Palace in Hindi.
It was commissioned in 1631 by me, the fifth Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, to house the tomb of my beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal. It also houses my own tomb.
The tomb is the centerpiece of a 17-hectare complex, which includes a mosque and a guest house, all set in formal gardens bounded on three sides by a crenellated wall. Construction of the mausoleum was completed in 1648, but work continued on other phases of the project for another 5 years.
The first ceremony held at the mausoleum was an observance by me on the 6th of February, 1643, marking the 12th anniversary of Mumtaz Mahal's death.
The Taj Mahal complex is believed to have been completed in its entirety in 1653 at a cost estimated at the time to be around 5 million rupees, which in 2023 would be approximately 35 billion rupees or 77.8 million US dollars.
The building complex incorporates the design traditions of Indo-Islamic and Mughal architecture. It employs symmetrical constructions with various shapes and symbols.
While the mausoleum is constructed of white marble inlaid with semi-precious stones, red sandstone was used for other buildings in the complex, similar to other Mughal-era buildings of the time. The construction project employed more than 20,000 workers and artisans under the guidance of a board of architects led by Ustad Ahmad Lahori, the emperor's court architect.
The Taj Mahal was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983 for being the jewel of Islamic art in India and one of the universally admired masterpieces of the world's heritage. It is regarded as one of the best examples of Mughal architecture and a symbol of Indian history.
The Taj Mahal is a major tourist attraction and draws more than 5 million visitors a year. In 2007, it was declared a winner of the New 7 Wonders of the World initiative.
The name Taj Mahal is of Urdu origin, believed to be derived from Arabic and Persian, with the words Taj Mahal meaning crown, Taj, and palace, Mahal. Abdul Hamid Lahori, in his 1636 book Padshahnama, refers to the Taj Mahal as Roza-e Munawwara, meaning the illumined or illustrious tomb.
The name Taj might have been derived from the corruption of the second syllable of Mumtaz. The Taj Mahal was commissioned by Shah Jahan in 1631 to be built in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal, who died on the 17th of June that year while giving birth to their 14th child, Gauhara Begum. Construction started in 1632, and the mausoleum was completed in 1648, while the surrounding buildings and garden were finished 5 years later.
The imperial court documented my grief after the death of Mumtaz Mahal, illustrating the love story held as the inspiration for the Taj Mahal. According to contemporary historians Muhammad Amin Kazvini, Abdul Hamid Lahori, and Muhammad Saleh Kambo, I did not show the same level of affection for others as I had shown Mumtaz while she was alive.
After her death, Shah Jahan avoided royal affairs for a week due to his grief and gave up listening to music and lavish dressing for 2 years.
I was enamored by the beauty of the land at the south side of Agra, where a mansion belonging to Raja Jai Singh I stood. I chose this place for the construction of Mumtaz's tomb, and Jai Singh agreed to donate it to me.
The architecture and design of the Taj Mahal incorporate and expand on design traditions of Indo-Islamic and Mughal architecture. Inspirations for the building came from Timurid and Mughal buildings including the Gur-e Amir in Samarkand, the tomb of Timur, progenitor of the Mughal dynasty, and Humayun's tomb in Delhi, which inspired the Charbagh Gardens and Hasht Behesht plan of the site.
The building complex employs symmetrical constructions with the usage of various shapes and symbols. While the mausoleum is constructed of white marble inlaid with semi-precious stones, red sandstone was used for other buildings in the complex, similar to the Mughal-era buildings of the time.
The entire complex sits on a platform measuring 300 meters in length and 8.7 meters in height on the banks of the Yamuna River. The platform is built with varying patterns of dark and light-colored sandstone. The mausoleum building is the central structure of the entire complex. It is a white marble structure standing on a 6-meter high square plinth with sides measuring 95.5 meters in length. The base structure is a large multi-chambered cube with chamfered corners forming an 8-sided structure that is approximately 57.3 meters long on each of the 4 long sides.
The building has 4 identical sides with iwans, or arch-shaped doorways, topped by a large dome and finial. Each side of the iwan is framed with a 33-meter high pishtak, or vaulted archway, with 2 similarly shaped arched balconies stacked on either side. This motif of archways is replicated on a smaller scale on the chamfered corner areas, making the design completely symmetrical.
At the southern side of the platform facing the garden, there are 2 flights of stairs on either side which are partly covered and provide the only access from ground level up to the mausoleum building. The predominant feature of the mausoleum is the 23-meter-high marble dome that surmounts the tomb. The onion-shaped dome sits on a 12-meter-high cylindrical drum with an inner diameter of 18.4 meters.
The dome is slightly asymmetrical and is topped by a 9.6-meter-high gilded finial. The intermediate zone between the drum and the dome is supplanted by an ornamental molding with a twisted rope design. The main dome is surrounded by 4 smaller domes or chatteris placed at its corners, which replicate the onion shape of the main dome. The smaller domes are supported by columns which stand on the top of the main structure and help bring light to the interior of the building.
Tall spires called guldastas extend from edges of walls, serving as decorative elements. The main and the smaller domes are decorated with a design resembling a lotus flower. The domes are topped by decorative finials which use Persian and Indian design elements. The main finial was originally made of gold, but was replaced by a copy made of gilded bronze in the early 19th century. The finial is topped by a moon, a typical Islamic motif, whose horns point heavenward.
4 minarets flank the tomb building, 1 at each corner of the plinth, facing the chamfered corners. The 4 minarets, which are each more than 40 meters tall, are symmetrically arranged on the corners facing the chamfered corners of the main building. Each minaret is composed of 3 almost equal parts with balconies at the intersection of the portions. The towers are also surmounted by smaller chatteris and incorporate the same design elements as the main dome with a finial.
Steps lead to the top of the tower with rectangular openings below the domes providing light and air at the top. The minarets were designed similar to traditional elements of a mosque which are used by the muezzin to call for prayer. The minarets were constructed slightly oriented towards the outside of the plinth so that in the event of collapse the material from the towers would tend to fall away from the tomb.
The external surfaces of the building are decorated with a number of delicate relief art, adorned with various precious and semi-precious stones. The decorative elements were created by applying paint, stucco, stone inlays or carvings. In line with the Islamic prohibition against the use of anthropomorphic forms, the decorative elements can be grouped into either calligraphy, abstract forms, or vegetative motifs.
The white marble dados consist of ornamental bas-relief depictions of nature and plant-based elements. The marble has been polished to emphasize the exquisite detailing of the carvings, and the frames and archway spandrels are decorated with pietra dura inlays of stylized geometric patterns of vines, flowers and fruits. The domes and vaults of the sandstone buildings are worked with tracery of incised painting to create elaborate geometric forms. Herringbone inlays define the space between the adjoining elements.
White inlays are used in sandstone buildings, and dark or black inlays on the white marbles. Contrasting colors have been used to create a complex array of different geometric patterns across the mortared areas of the buildings. The floors and walkways are laid with tiles or blocks with contrasting colors and consisting of various tessellation patterns. The plinth is differentiated from the paved surface of the main platform by an interlocking pattern of octagonal white marble pieces set into 4 pointed stars made of red sandstone, surrounded by a border.
The building has many lattice windows or jalis with interlocking hexagonal patterns. The gateway arches are bordered by Arabic calligraphy with passages from the Quran. Much of the calligraphy is composed of florid Thuluth script made of jasper or black marble, inlaid in white marble panels. Higher panels are written with slightly larger script to reduce the skewing effect when viewed from below.
The calligraphy on the southern gate roughly translates to, "O soul, thou art at rest. Return to the Lord at peace with him, and he at peace with you." The calligraphy on the buildings was believed to have been created in 1609 by Abdul Haq, who was conferred the title of Amanat Khan by Shah Jahan. At the base of the interior dome is the inscription written by the insignificant being Amanat Khan Shirazi.
The main inner chamber is an octagon with sides measuring 7.3 meters or 24 feet, allowing for entry from each face, with the main door facing the garden to the south.
2 tiers of 8 pishtak arches are located along the walls, similar to the exterior. The 4 central upper arches form balconies or viewing areas, and each balcony's exterior window has an intricate jali.
The inner wall is open along the axes where jali screens are fitted, transmitting light from the exterior to the interior of the main chamber. Except for the south side, the other 3 sides consist of an open, elongated room flanked by 2 square cells, covered with decorated ceilings set on the platform.
The central room has arched openings on 3 sides fitted with jalis filled with panes of glass, and a small rectangular window cut into the central jali. The square cells, reached through separate doors, were probably originally used for visitors and Quran reciters as a place to rest.
Staircases lead from the ground floor to the roof level, where there are corridors between the central hall and the two corner rooms in the south with a system of ventilation shafts. The interior walls are about 25 meters or 82 feet high and are topped by a false interior dome decorated with a sun motif.
The inlay work is a lapidary of precious and semi-precious gemstones. Each chamber wall is highly decorated with dado bas-relief, intricate lapidary inlay, and refined calligraphy panels, similar to the design elements seen throughout the exterior of the complex.
The main chamber houses the false sarcophagi of Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan, while the real ones are in the basement. Perforated marble jalis, or majar-i mushabak, border the cenotaphs and are made from 8 marble panels, carved through with intricate pierce work inlaid in delicate detail with semi-precious stones.
The cenotaphs were originally covered by a screen made of gold on the occasion of the second anniversary of Mumtaz Mahal's death in 1633, which was later replaced by the marble screen in 1643. Situated within the screen in the upper main chamber are the likenesses of the tombs of Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan, with the actual burials done below in the lower tomb chamber.
From the southern main entrance room, a stairway leads to the lower tomb chamber, which is rectangular in shape with walls laid with marble and an undecorated covered ceiling. The cenotaph of Mumtaz is located in the exact center of the chamber on a marble base of 1.5 by 2.5 meters or 4 feet 11 inches by 8 feet 2 inches. Shah Jahan's cenotaph is situated on a larger base on the western side in an asymmetrical arrangement.
On the top is a traditional sculpture of a small pen box, denoting it as a male tomb. The cenotaphs are aligned north-south, with the head towards the north, and the bodies laid on their sides with the face turned towards the west, facing Mecca. The calligraphy found on the marble cenotaphs in the tomb is particularly detailed and delicate.
While the cenotaphs are similar to the ones from the Mughal era, no other tombs from that era were adorned with such exquisite decoration. On Mumtaz's sarcophagus, the decoration consists of natural plum fruits, buds and flower blossoms inlaid with Quranic inscriptions, with the epitaph reading the illumined grave of Arjumand Banu Begum, entitled Mumtaz Mahal, who died in the year 1631. The original tomb in the lower level is largely undecorated, with 99 names of God inscribed on the side.
The false cenotaph of Shah Jahan has similar decorations and is covered with flowers and other scrollwork without any inscriptions. The epitaph, surrounded by red poppy flowers, reads, "This is the sacred grave of His Most Exalted Majesty, dweller in paradise, second lord of the auspicious conjunction, Shah Jahan Padshah, may it ever be fragrant." The year 1076 or 1666.
The original cenotaph of Shah Jahan is a more simply decorated version with similar red flowers and yellow plants, with a more comprehensive epitaph reading, "This is the illumined grave and sacred resting place of the Emperor, dignified as Rizwan, residing in eternity, His Majesty having his abode in the celestial realm of Ilion, dweller in paradise, the second Sahib-e-Kiran, Shah Jahan Padshah Ghazi. May it be sanctified and may paradise become his abode." He travelled from this world to the banquet hall of eternity on the night of the 26th of the month of Rajab in the year 1076 Hijri, which is the 31st of January, 1666 AD. The complex is set around a large 300 square metre chaba or Mughal garden.
The garden is divided by 2 main walkways, known as Kiyaban, into 4 quadrants with further raised pathways that divide each of the 4 quarters into 16 sunken parterres or flower beds. The garden is surrounded by a walkway connecting all the quadrants.
Halfway between the tomb and the gateway, in the centre of the garden is a raised marble water tank with 5 fountains and a reflecting pool positioned on a north-south axis to reflect the image of the mausoleum.
The elevated marble water tank is called Al-Hawd Al-Kawthar, in reference to the tank of abundance promised to Muhammad. Elsewhere, the garden is laid out with avenues of trees and fountains.
In the northwestern quadrant is a place that marks the site where Mumtaz Mahal was first buried, before her body was moved to its final resting place inside the main chamber of the mausoleum.
The Chaba Garden, a design inspired by Persian gardens, was introduced to India by Babur, the first Mughal emperor, and symbolizes the Paradise Garden, or Jannah, with 4 rivers flowing from a central spring or mountain, separating the garden into north, west, south, and east.
While most gardens of the era are rectangular with a tomb or pavilion in the center, the Taj Garden is unusual in that the main element, the tomb, is located at the end of the garden.
With the discovery of Mahtab Bagh, or Moonlight Garden, on the other side of the Yamuna River, the Archaeological Survey of India has hypothesized that the Yamuna River itself was incorporated into the garden's design and was meant to be seen as one of the rivers of paradise.
Similarities in layout and architectural features with the Shalimar Garden suggest that both gardens may have been designed by the same architect, Ali Mardan.
Early accounts of the garden describe its profusion of vegetation, including abundant roses, daffodils, and fruit trees. As the Mughal Empire declined, the gardens were not maintained, and when the British Raj assumed management of the gardens, they changed the landscaping to resemble the formal lawns of London in the 19th century.
The water supply for the gardens was derived from the Yamuna River, where a water channel transported the water into an underground reservoir along the eastern wall of a storage building containing multiple storage tanks.
The water from the reservoir was lifted by means of a system of pulleys and wheels, turned by animals, to a tank that supplied an aqueduct which ran south, carrying water up to the western wall before turning east. The water was later distributed throughout the garden through earthenware pipes embedded underground.
The fountains in the central tank consisted of large vessels made of copper and interconnected through copper pipes, and the drop from the 9.47-meter high walls created the necessary water pressure for the fountains. The Taj Mahal complex is enclosed by crenellated red sandstone walls on three sides, with the side facing the Yamuna River left open.
Outside the complex walls, there are other mausoleums dedicated to Shah Jahan's other wives, royals, and favorite servants. The inner sides of the walls feature columned arcades typical of Hindu temples, adorned with domed cupolas like chatris, and smaller structures like the music house interspersed between them.
The main gateway, primarily built of marble, mirrors the tomb's architecture and incorporates intricate decorations like bas-relief and pietra dura inlays.
At the far end of the complex stand two similar buildings built of red sandstone, one of which is designated as a mosque and the other as a jawab, a structure to provide architectural symmetry. The mosque's design resembles others built during the era, and the jawab has floors with inlaid patterns while lacking a mihrab.
The land on which the Taj Mahal is situated was present to the south of the walled city of Agra, which was given to Shah Jahan by Raja Jai Singh I in exchange for a large palace in the center of Agra.
The building was commissioned in 1631 and construction commenced in 1632. An area of roughly 1.2 hectares or 3 acres was excavated, filled with dirt to reduce seepage, and leveled at 50 meters above the riverbank level. In the tomb area, piles were dug and filled with lime and stone to form the footings of the tomb.
The platform above the ground was constructed of brick and mortar. The tomb complex was built mainly using brick and lime mortar. The external surface of the main tomb building and the interior of the main cenotaph chamber is veneered with white marble.
The other interior surfaces and other accessory buildings are lined with red sandstone, coated with a red octet for protection, excluding the exterior surfaces of domes. The white marble came from Makrana in Rajasthan, while the red sandstone was quarried from Fatehpur Sikri in Uttar Pradesh.
Many precious and semi-precious stones used for decoration were imported from across the world, including jade and crystal from China, turquoise from Tibet, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, sapphire from Sri Lanka, and carnelian from Arabia. In all, 28 types of precious and semi-precious stone were inlaid into the white marble.
It is believed that more than 20,000 artisans, laborers, painters, and others were involved in the construction of the building. Specialist sculptors from Bukhara, calligraphers from Syria and Persia, designers from southern India, stone cutters from Baluchistan, and Italian artisans were employed.
Workmen constructed a colossal brick scaffold that mirrored the tomb rather than wooden scaffolds.
A 15-kilometer-long earthen ramp was built to transport marble and materials to the construction site, hauled on specially constructed wagons by teams of oxen and elephants. An elaborate post and beam pulley system was used to raise the blocks into the desired position. Water was drawn from the river by a series of animal-powered devices.
When the structure was partially completed, the first ceremony was held at the mausoleum by Shah Jahan on the 6th of February 1643, on the 12th anniversary of the death of Mumtaz Mahal. Construction of the mausoleum was completed in 1648, but work continued on other phases of the project for another 5 years. The Taj Mahal complex is believed to have been completed in its entirety in 1653 at a cost estimated at the time to be around 5 million rupees, which in 2023 would be approximately 35 billion rupees or $77.8 million.
In December 1652, Shah Jahan's son Aurangzeb wrote a letter to his father about the tomb, the mosque, and the assembly hall of the complex developing extensive leaks during the previous rainy season. In 1658, Shah Jahan was deposed by Aurangzeb and put under house arrest at the nearby Agra fort, from where he could see the Taj Mahal. Upon Shah Jahan's death in 1666, Aurangzeb buried him in the mausoleum next to his wife.
In the 18th century, the Jat rulers of Bharatpur attacked the Taj Mahal while invading Agra and took away two chandeliers, one of agate and another of silver, which had hung over the main cenotaph and the gold and silver screen.
Kanbo, a Mughal historian, said the gold shield which covered the 4.6-meter-high finial at the top of the main dome was also removed during the Jat despoliation.
By the late 19th century, parts of the buildings had fallen into disrepair. At the end of the century, British Viceroy Lord Curzon ordered a restoration project, which was completed in 1908. He also commissioned the large lamp in the interior chamber and replaced the gardens with European-style lawns that are still in place today.
In 1942, the government erected scaffolding to disguise the building in anticipation of air attacks by the Japanese Air Force. Since Indian independence in 1947, the Archaeological Survey of India has been responsible for the maintenance of the monument. During the India-Pakistan Wars of 1965 and 1971, scaffolding was again erected to mislead bomber pilots.
In 1983, the Taj Mahal was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site for being the jewel of Islamic art in India and one of the universally admired masterpieces of the world's heritage.
Since the late 20th century, the monument has been affected by environmental pollution, which has turned the Taj Mahal yellow-brown. Acid rain and pollution affecting the Yamuna River, including the presence of the Mathura oil refinery, have contributed to the same. After directives by the Supreme Court of India, in 1997, the Indian government set up the Taj Trapezium Zone, a 10,400 square kilometer area around the monument where strict emissions standards are in place.
Concerns for the tomb's structural integrity have recently been raised because of a decline in the groundwater level in the Yamuna River basin, with cracks appearing in parts of the tomb in 2010 and the minarets surrounding the monument showing signs of tilting. Minor damage was reported due to storms on the 11th of April 2018 and the 31st of May 2020.
In the 2020s, the government of India has undertaken various restoration measures, including placing mud packs to restore the white color and replacing broken marble. Don't forget to subscribe to World Wonders Unveiled and turn on notifications.